Elevator Board meeting of September 24th, 2020 to order at 9:30 a.m. Debbie, please call the roll.
Yes, ma'am. Chair Heather Miller.
Here.
Vice Chair Thomas Kyle.
Here.
William Barlow.
Here.
Randy Carmody.
Here.
John Flagel.
Here.
Thank you. Scott Hall.
Here.
Robert McNeil.
Here.
Vernon Pomrose is excused. Ryan Richards.
Here.
Randy Smith.
Here.
James Totten.
Here.
Madam Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you, Debbie. Do any members have any changes to the agenda, to the order of business? I, Chair Miller, rule the agenda and order of business approved. You also got the draft minutes for the last meeting and the emergency meeting we had in August. Does anybody have any changes for those draft minutes? I, Chair Miller, rule the following draft minutes final: July 20 regular meeting and August 27th, 2020 emergency meeting. The next meeting is November 19th, 2020. And now we're moving on to agenda item 2, which is executive session. We have a script to read. The Electrical and Elevator Board will now meet in executive session at 9:32. The executive session is held pursuant to ORS 192.6602F for this session, which allows the board to meet in executive session to consider information on records that are exempt from disclosure by written advice from board counsel. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to disconnect from the audio conference board meeting. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed to report on or otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, the board will return to open session and welcome members, staff, and the public to join the meeting through GoToMeeting for the rest of the board agenda. Debbie, is all the equipment and audio recording switched over to the executive session?
Hey, members, if you would go ahead and disconnect and log into the executive session.
motion to incorporate, sorry, I'm a little off my game today. We have moved to motion to approve the division's recommendations. Debbie, can you take a roll call on the vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. James Taunton,
Aye.
Randy Smith,
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Robert McNeil, Robert McNeil, Scott Hall,
Aye. Aye.
Rob, was that you answering? Rob McNeil,
I answered aye prior to Scott.
thank you. John Flagel,
Aye.
Randy Carmody,
Aye.
William Barlow,
Aye.
Vice Chair Thomas Kyle,
Aye.
Chair Heather Miller.
Aye.
Madam Chair, motion passes unanimous.
Thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
Moving on to agenda item 4B, we have a summary for a case from the Enforcement Board report, again with Sarah Blamlinville.
Thank you, through the chair. Again, for the record, this is Sarah Blamlinville, contested case representative. This is we only have a single default order this time. No action is required by the board. I am available if you have any questions about it.
Okay. If nobody has any questions, we can move on to agenda item 4C, the elevator program update with Mr. Hartung.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. For the record, Warren Hartung, Chief Elevator Inspector for Statewide Services. In your packet, you have the elevator inspection charts for July and August, as well as accident report summaries. No unusual activity to report on my behalf. Everything is moving smoothly as it can be, considering what we've been through the last month. And I don't really have anything more to add unless you have questions. I'm here to answer.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Hartung.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Agenda item 4D, the electrical, excuse me, the electrical program update with Keith Anderson.
Good morning, Keith Anderson, Electrical Program Chief. So I have several things going on today. The first thing is that Lori Graham is going to be leaving as acting administrator, and then we have Alana Cox is going to be taking that position. So we're fortunate that she's going to accepted that. So she's here with us now.
Hey, thanks, Keith. I'm really looking forward to working with you all in my new capacity here, and appreciate all of your time, especially this summer as we've navigated through a lot of big, heady electrical and elevator board meetings virtually, which I know is really challenging. So I'm really looking forward to looking into the future when maybe we can meet again and seeing you all in person again. But in the meantime, I really appreciate all of your efforts on the board, and I'm excited about this new challenge and excited to work with you all. Back over to Keith. Right. He does have a lot.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Keith.
So I wanted to update you on the low-rise code. They adopted our specialty code, the 2021, in their last meeting. So They didn't make any changes to anything that we had there, so that went very smoothly. They also require in the low-rise code now the requirement for solar ready, and they went back to the original language that we had, where a 3/4 metal raceway from a J box next to the panel into the attic is what will be required to comply with that. There's an exception that they can use a number 10 3-wire MC as an alternate to that. So that'll be a requirement in the low rise that we'll need to install, provide that on new homes. There weren't any other requirements for panel space or roof space or anything like that. So anyway, that was what was adopted, and this is going to start October 1, and then they'll have to renew it or do something different April 1 when that comes about. So it's just for that 6-month period. So we assume it's going to roll over, but that'll be up to the low-rise board, residential structural board, to make that decision. But then I had Washington reciprocity. I wanted to kind of update you on that. So we have sent out, this licensing staff, 157 forms. It's called Part C, and it's just a verification form of how they got their license and that sort of thing here in Oregon. We've done those for Washington. We have 29 apps waiting for Washington to return the same form to us to be able to issue. And then we've had 4 licenses that have been issued here in Oregon so far. There's a number of licenses that are holding for additional paperwork to be able to review those. So anyway, it looks like we're getting quite a bit of action on that, and licensing staff is, keeping busy with that. So the last thing I had, you all know Dennis Clark. He's been a big help to the electrical program, especially with me, where we've haven't had a full staff. We haven't had an assistant for quite a while. And he's been on part of many committees. He was on the code committee, the update on that. So he's going to be retiring at the end of October. And so I just wanted to thank him for all of his help that he's given to the program for that. So. And that's all I have, unless you have a question for me. All right, well, thank you.
Thank you, Keith. We don't have anything under the communications, appeals, or unfinished business sections of the meeting, so we're on to new business, agenda item 8A, and Tyler Glaze is going to speak to us about that item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, my name is Tyler Glaze. I'm a policy analyst for the Building Codes Division. Members of the board, you may remember from our last, or the July, not our last meeting, but the July meeting, we discussed potential rulemaking regarding the C letter grades in certain math classes that was previously required. We approached the board with some potential rule language and asked whether the board believed that was the appropriate rule language they wanted to approve, or whether or not they wanted it to be more narrowly tailored or wider in scope. And the board agreed that they wanted it to be more narrowly tailored. So we have gone back to the drawing board and come back with this new rule language. If you look right below agenda item 7A, there is the rule language attached there. So this is the new rule language that is more narrowly tailored. Specifically, it addresses the immediate impacts of the fact that schools are not giving letter grades. so we can approve pass grades for schools that are not doing that. If you look now, this rule now grants pass exceptions only to those students who did not receive letter grades because of the COVID-19 impacts on schools. That is the way we've tried to tailor it to what the board recommended. So, Madam Chair, this will require a motion. This can also be tabled for future board meetings. It can also be amended as the board sees fit.
Well, I think that we spent a fair bit of time talking about it in the last meeting. Since in the last meeting I learned I can make motions, I'm going to make a motion to approve the rule for rulemaking and subsequent adoption.
I'll second that motion.
Debbie, will you call a roll vote?
Yes, ma'am. James Totten,
Yay.
Randy Smith,
Yay.
Ryan Richards,
Yay.
Robert McNeil,
Yay.
Scott Hall,
Yay.
John Flago,
Yay.
Randy Carmody,
Yay.
William Barlow,
Yay.
Vice Chair Thomas Kyle,
Aye.
Chair Heather Miller.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the vote passes unanimous.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 8B, the approval of continuing education credit for the OECC members. Tyler, again, is going to speak to this one.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, my name is Tyler Glaze, Policy Analyst for the division. I know some of the board members may recall this being brought up sort of tangentially. Basically, it is past practice that members on the OESC review committee receive credit for the time they spent working on the new OESC. And so this was formerly discussed as something that needed to be approved, and this is the actual formal approval of these credit hours. It will be a total of 8 hours for code-related credit, 12 hours for code change credit, and 4 hours for Oregon rule and law credit. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them, but this is just the formal approval of those credit hours for the members of the OESC Review Committee. Their names are on agenda item 8B if you care to look at them. Other than that, Madam Chair, this will require a motion.
Through the chair, I move to approve the recommendations by committee. Thomas Kyle, second.
Debbie, can you take a roll vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. James Totten,
Aye.
Randy Smith,
I have a quick question. Since I'm on that list, am I allowed to vote for this?
yes, you are.
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Robert McNeil,
Aye.
Scott Hall,
Aye.
John Flago,
Aye.
Randy Carmody,
Aye.
William Barlow,
Aye.
Vice Chair Thomas Kyle,
Aye.
and Chair Heather Miller.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the vote passes unanimously.
Thank you, Debbie. Moving on to agenda item 8C, the board review and approve committee recommendations for new continuing education courses and instructor applications. And Mr. Tyler Glaze is back to us again.
Hello again, Madam Chair. Thank you, Tyler Glaze, Policy Analyst for the division. For this round of continuing education applications, we have a total of 39 applications from 11 organizations. The committee recommended 28 courses for approval, 1 course for denial, 8 instructors for approval, and 2 instructors were recommended for denial. Just as a point of clarification, the committee made a few last-minute changes. Courses number 8 and number 10 on your matrix that were approved for 4 hours they made a change to their recommendation to approve both of those courses for 8 hours. So any motion would need to, if, for example, the board would like to approve those recommendations, they would need the additional language recommending courses number 8 and 10 on the matrix for those changed 8 hours of code-related credit.
I would like to make a motion that we approve the courses and the amended 8 and number 10 for the 8 hours of course credit. I second that.
I think the motion needs to include approving the recommendations both for approval and denial.
I apologize. I so move that we approve the course approval and denial by the committee.
Including the including the middle.
Including the amended course 8 and 10 for the 8 hours of course credit.
I think that's good. Thank you, Ryan.
I'll second that.
Sounds good. Debbie, can you take a roll call vote, please?
Yes, ma'am. James Totten,
Aye.
Randy Smith,
Aye.
Ryan Richards,
Aye.
Robert McNeil,
Aye.
Scott Hall,
Aye.
John Flagel,
Aye.
Randy Carmody,
Aye.
William Barlow,
Aye.
Vice Chair Thomas Kyle,
Aye.
Chair Heather Miller.
Aye.
Madam Chair, the vote passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have no announcements, so there being no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 10:26. Thanks, everybody.